This is the ultimate guide to sulforaphane, the compound hiding in broccoli sprouts that scientists are calling one of the most powerful cancer defense switches ever found in food. If you have ever wondered why doctors keep telling you to eat your greens, this video is going to show you the actual biochemistry behind that advice, and why broccoli sprouts specifically might matter far more than the mature broccoli sitting in your fridge right now. If you watched my breakdown on garlic and allicin, this is going to feel familiar, because we are once again talking about a plant that only becomes powerful once you damage it. Let's start with where this compound actually comes from. Broccoli, along with cabbage, kale, and Brussels sprouts, contains a precursor molecule called glucoraphanin. On its own, glucoraphanin does very little, but when you chop, chew, or otherwise damage the plant's cell walls, an enzyme called myrosinase gets released and converts glucoraphanin into sulforaphane, the active compound your body actually uses. This is almost identical to what happens with garlic and allicin, an inactive precursor sitting quietly until physical damage triggers an enzymatic reaction that produces the compound doing the real work. Here is the detail most people miss entirely. Broccoli sprouts contain 20 to 100 times more glucoraphanin than mature broccoli, which makes them one of the single most concentrated food sources of this compound available anywhere. So what does sulforaphane actually do once it's in your body? This is where the science gets genuinely fascinating. Your cells have an internal defense switch called NRF2, and under normal conditions, a gatekeeper protein called KEAP1 keeps that switch turned off. Sulforaphane's job is to nudge that gatekeeper aside. Once KEAP1 loosens its grip, NRF2 is released, travels into the cell's nucleus, and turns on genes that help the cell protect itself. Researchers describe this as activating the cell's own cleanup and repair crew, and that phrase captures it well. When NRF2 is activated, it triggers the expression of more than 50 protective genes that work to neutralize carcinogens and reactive oxygen species before those molecules ever get the chance to damage your DNA. Sulforaphane does this on two fronts simultaneously. It activates phase 2 detoxification enzymes that help flush carcinogens out of the body, while at the same time inhibiting phase 1 enzymes that would otherwise convert procarcinogens into their toxic DNA-damaging forms. In plain terms, it is blocking the threat and cleaning up after it at the same time, which is a fairly elegant piece of biochemistry for something growing in a plastic clamshell in the produce aisle. There's also a second, separate mechanism worth understanding, one tied to epigenetics, rather than direct DNA repair. Researchers at Oregon State University identified that sulforaphane influences DNA methylation, a process that controls which genes get turned on or off, working alongside its effects on histone deactylase inhibition. Scientists studying this describe these two pathways as working in partnership with each other to help maintain proper control over cell division, which matters because disrupted cell division control is one of the defining hallmarks of cancer itself. In other words, this is not just about neutralizing bad molecules floating around your bloodstream, it is about influencing which genes your cells choose to express in the first place. Now, does this mean broccoli sprouts prevent cancer outright? This is where I want to be very careful with you, because the actual research is promising, but it is not the same as a cure. Much of the strongest evidence comes from laboratory and animal studies rather than large-scale human clinical trials, and sulforaphane is not a substitute for cancer screening or treatment. That said, the human research that does exist is genuinely compelling. A clinical trial published in Cancer Prevention Research found that men who consumed broccoli sprout extract showed changes in gene expression consistent with tumor suppression, and separate research has found that sulforaphane can block breast cancer stem cells specifically. Other studies have looked at heavy smokers, a population with especially high carcinogen exposure, and found that broccoli sprout extract may help reduce measurable toxicity in the body over time. If you're going to add broccoli sprouts to your diet for this reason, preparation actually matters more than most people realize. Cooking broccoli can destroy the myrosinase enzyme needed to convert glucoraphanin into active sulforaphane, which is part of why fresh sprouts, which still contain active myrosinase, tend to outperform many supplements on the market. If you do cook your broccoli, there's a documented workaround worth knowing. Adding just 1 gram of powdered mustard seed to cooked broccoli increased sulforaphane bioavailability by more than 4 times compared to cooked broccoli alone, since mustard seed contains a heat-stable form of myrosinase that survives cooking. A 2026 study confirmed this exact effect, showing mustard seed powder roughly doubled sulforaphane bioavailability compared to broccoli extract alone, essentially rescuing the compound your cooking would have otherwise destroyed. One more detail before you go stock up on sprouts. Sprouts harvested at 4 to 5 days old contain the highest concentration of sulforaphane, so if you're growing your own or shopping for them at the store, that window is worth knowing and worth asking about. Sulforaphane is not a miracle cure, and I want to be honest with you about that, but it is one of the most extensively studied, mechanistically understood compounds in the entire field of food-based cancer prevention. If you have a family history of cancer, or you are simply trying to give your body every advantage it can get, broccoli sprouts are one of the most well-documented, low-risk additions you can make to your plate. Just remember, chop them, do not overcook them, add a little mustard seed if you do cook them, and if you are currently on chemotherapy or radiation, always talk to your oncologist first, since sulforaphane can interact with cancer treatment in ways that matter. If this gave you something real to add to your plate, hit that like button and subscribe, because I will keep breaking down the actual science behind the foods you eat every day. There is always more happening in your kitchen than you realize, so stick around for the next one.